What is the best cup of coffee you've had?
Starbucks, of course.
Of course. Brought to you by.
What do you rate Starbucks? What's it on your scale?
On a 1 to 10, it's like a 6.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I have no complaints against it. I don't like their roast profile, but they do it on purpose in order to. It's hard to get. They have so many locations. They want everything to taste the same, so they scorch their espresso a little bit in order to make sure that it all kind of tastes the same.
Man, Austin has some of the best coffee spots in the world. I'm blanking right now at the top of my head.
Cuvées down there.
You still go to You ever go to Houndstooth there in Dallas? I used to love that.
Yes, they have.
That was probably my favorite latte. Here, I like Flat Track, and then there's this Texas Coffee Traders, which produces the beans. But they have a little shop. They used to have their main spot right over by my office, and they'd run a little shop out of the back. So I'd go over there and get a cup every day, and it was $5, but it was incredible. And I was like, man, this is so good.
I was in the coffee industry on that grind, #daily grind.
Grinding.
I was in the coffee industry for 7 years, give or take.
Yeah.
And so I've tried some of these most gorgeous coffees in the world. I've tried some pretty mid ones also, but it's cool. But my wife's dad love the guy. One time he goes, you know who's got really good coffee? That gas station Stripes. You can get French vanilla, hazelnut. And I was like, yeah, sure, it's good, man. It's
not as good as QT.
That's not quite my.
It's also gas station coffee, which
but you give him credit for trying to join the conversation.
Hey, recently we had the man, the myth, the legend, the king. He hit 40K.
That's crazy.
40,000 points playing the Nuggets. I think he was like 9 or 10 away. Got it about midway through the second quarter. I mean, some of the stats that I've seen fly around, I mean, he's already done it, but when you put it into perspective, it's crazy. It's like you would have had to play 82 games a year for 20 seasons and average 24.4 points per game. And it's like he's done more than that. He's done better than that.
That's insane. How do you there's two types of kind of players that win championships. I was telling this to a kid who is he's like, my clutch game's horrible. I say, well, there's two ways to win. You either need to be a killer and love the kill and enjoy the kill. Luka, Kobe, other players like that. Or you just need to be so good that it doesn't even matter. Like, every point's the same to you. And I feel like LeBron's more the latter. I don't think he's a killer the same way, but he is so good and he knows the situation he's in. He knows how to play situational basketball so well.
Yeah.
It's truly amazing. It's cool that we get to live and see this.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine growing up and having to watch the Celtics win, 10 straight with playing with Red Auerbach?
He's so rudimentary. I was looking at the list though. The only other active player I think was KD. I think KD Harden's on there at like 20 something, and then Westbrook's actually at 25. But KD's top 10, and he has a chance to get up there to 40,000. I think by the time it's all said and done, he'll probably be top 3, if not top 5. I think he would have to average like 25 to 28 for another 6 or 7 seasons.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, Durant's an elite scorer. Some people would call him the best scorer in the game for long stretches. I know he got hampered by injuries for a couple seasons. But the fact that he is so far behind it's just incredible.
It's close, but you're like, it's going to take a lot for him to get close to 40,000.
Yeah, he needs 12,000 points, roughly, which is, the 100th most all time, I think, is 12,000. Hang on, let me see here. 200 most all time. But yeah, just the fact that you have Wilt and Kareem and Kobe and Dirk and Jordan and all these great scorers and
it's a mixture of great scorers and longevity, right? Playing for how many seasons did Jordan actually play? Did he play 20 years?
I don't think he played.
Like
He
16,
retired
17?
because he quit for 2 years a couple times.
Yeah.
Career stat. Career is a word I struggle spelling. Don't know if you know that.
15 seasons.
Oh my goodness. And he took off 3 years from the Bulls to the Wizards. I forgot they took off so long.
Yeah.
He was
And then
still
he
averaged 20. He
came
quit.
back. He averaged 20 and played 82 games with
His last season with the Bulls.
Ty Lue as his point guard.
38 minutes a night, 28.7 points a game.
Crazy.
Incredible. He was so tired. He had to be so tired.
But shout out to LeBron, 40,000 points. Insane.
Big supporter of our pod.
Yeah. Yeah. He's here.
How long would it take you to get 40 points in an NBA season? The whole season?
Whew.
You got to make a bucket every other game.
I'd probably have maybe a year, maybe even 2. I don't know if I could get it. Yeah, if I get streaky, though, you get 5 or 6 points one game.
Woo, he's on fire.
You never know what can happen. You never know.
I want to know.
Did you watch the NFL Combine at all?
I watched the guy set the record for 40 time.
Same.
So I didn't know. I'm bad about drafts.
Same. I'm also back when I was younger, I was always into the Combine.
Mm-hmm.
I used to religiously watch the Combine. I probably haven't watched it in probably 5-6 years.
Well, you thought you were going pro like the rest of us, right?
Yeah, I thought I was going. I thought I was going to be there. So I was like,
how can I?
I'll watch the reruns. But then afterward, I'm like, no. I was interested in seeing the Caleb Williams guy, but he didn't participate. Who's the guy who ran the 4.22? Worthy?
Yeah, Xavier
Worthy. Yeah.
Did it X or no? I always just say Xavier because of the college.
Oh, it probably is Xavier. I always say Xavier, but there's no telling.
Well, throw up the X. But a 4.21 40 time.
Yeah, that guy's a beast, man. I mean, I didn't realize he was that fast, but as soon as I saw the name, I was like, who is that? And every time I watch Texas play the last couple of years, you're like, that dude's fast. Like, he's incredibly fast. He's a great receiver.
Do you know whose 40 time he beat?
I don't.
Chris Johnson, former Tennessee Titan great, ran a 4.24 40.
Yeah, he was a 4.24. I remember when he ran that. I do remember that when he was in the Combine.
And then he
was kind of hot. He was kind of hot, then he was not in the league, right?
Well, he almost broke the rushing record one season, and then he disappointed the next year, even though he still had 1,500 total yards or something like that, and then just kind of,
he just fell off quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Well, I think because his peak was so high that it made it to where it seemed like it was worse. Let me see his season overviews. Yeah, he rushed for 1,200 yards, 2,000 yards in his second year, 1,300 yards, 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards, 1,000 yards. So, I mean, he had a good 6-year run. It's just the fact that his second year, he ran for 2,000.
Yeah.
And also had 500 receiving yards, 2,500 total yards. That the next year when he had 1,700 total yards, 1,600 total yards, he seemed like a disappointment. Was
Vince Young his quarterback?
I think so, because 2008 Titans. Because when did they win the?
They didn't win much. Did they go to the playoffs?
They did. They lost in the divisional round to the Ravens that year.
Okay.
Team stats, players and roster.
That was right before
Gary Collins. Yuck.
Vince went a little crazy.
Yeah, Vince Young was on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started 3 games, or he played 3 games, started 1.
Okay.
And then I guess Kerry Collins was the starter for most of the season.
Okay.
Kerry Collins.
That would make more sense.
Oh, the other guy I liked at the Combine was the Texas Tech receiver, who does not believe in space.
Really?
Yeah.
He doesn't believe in like physical space or like that
Yeah, I don't
where
believe
the
in space.
astronauts go.
Yeah, where the
Okay.
astronauts go. NFL prospect Tyler Owens says, I don't believe in space. I'm real
Nice.
religious, so I think we're alone right now. I don't think there's other planets and other stuff like that.
Okay. I mean, you go hang out in Lubbock long enough, it's pretty flat out there. There's not a lot going on. I could understand where he would start to form that idea.
He went on to say, I thought I used to believe in the heliocentric thing where we used to revolve around the sun and stuff. But
Yeah.
then I started seeing flat earth stuff and I was like, this is kind of interesting. They started bringing up valid points. So, I mean, I don't know. Could be real, could not be.
Look, Kyrie's a flat earther and he's doing just fine. So,
Would you draft a flat earther on your team?
I don't know if I would. It's a lot of distraction. Man. What who else is big in the draft? The name that I saw, what's that guy's name? Brock something, the Georgia guy.
Oh, yeah, the tight end.
Brock Bowers. That's his name. I'm kind of interested to see how he's 6'4", runs a 4.4.
Jeez.
But he's kind of short for a tight end. I hate to say that. A lot of them are 6'7", 6'8" now. So I wonder how if they'll use him more just like another wide receiver.
That's kind of where the trend is going, right? I mean, Kelsey blocks, but
yeah,
they have him projected going 5th to the Chargers. Which
Bowers?
So I'm reading up on mock drafts because it's that season.
Yeah.
And Mel Kiper has him mocking out 5th to the Chargers.
Okay.
Which I think is an interesting.
Hardball picking him up.
I kind of think the Chargers will go offensive line because their line was trash last year.
Yeah, because they got Herbert, right? He's still
Herbert's still man. But if you can't protect him, they couldn't run, and then they couldn't protect Herbert. So that's where I think they're going to go O-line. But Mel Kiper has been doing this longer than I have, apparently. Yeah, so I'm told.
Thing.
But I would say my hair is slightly better than his.
Oh, absolutely. Your hair is way better. I think it's almost the NFL free agency. I think this year is a little bit more exciting than the draft. I don't know any other big names in the draft. I mean, there's
the quarterbacks and Marvin Harrison Jr., but then
there's the guy from Michigan. There's the quarterback from North Carolina, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. That'll be cool. I loved his pops on the Colts.
This is how old we're getting. We're getting a lot of juniors in the league. Frank Gore Jr.'s coming up.
Yeah, he's in the draft too, right?
Yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr. When I grew up watching Tim Hardaway, just like God.
I don't remember Tim Hardaway a lot. I do slightly, but
he played for the Mavs for a while. He played for the Heat and the Mavs. That's how I remember him. But
okay, yeah, we're reaching that point where the juniors are starting to come in, second generation. So
you want free agency, huh? What do you think's gonna happen? So you got a couple big names in, Chris Jones, I want to say, for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the defensive tackle.
Yes, he's the big one. Now he's 30.
Yeah,
but he is the big one because the Chiefs are going to let him go.
Yeah,
and
they're going to be smart.
Because if they franchise him again, it's going to be $32 million. So it's going to be long-term deal or bye-bye.
They're going to have to pull the Patriots and
see ya.
Yeah.
If you have the guy, you can be cold. And they have Mahomes.
They've already.
I would love the Cowboys to get him. Love the like that is exactly what we need, a defensive tackle. That would be the all-in move we'd be looking for, but I just don't. I don't know. The other one, Josh Allen for not the quarterback, the edge rusher.
Yeah.
But
Cowboys are losing Tyron Smith, right? The left tackle.
Yeah, and
he's too old though. I mean, I hate to say that, but he's done.
It's a fine move. They're going to get worse. They're going to move Tyler Smith out there, who they drafted last year or 2 years. And That'll be fine. It's a fine replacement. That's the question is, what are you going to do with that money? So if you let Dak stay at $60 million, which I'm fine with, or you re-sign him to a longer term deal and maybe drop it down to $50 million, what are you going to do with that money? You know, they've been good about signing their own guys and drafting, but man, you got ran over by every team, by every Shanahan offense, or every Mike Shanahan offense. So because the Packers run the Mike Shanahan offense because their coach was under Shanahan. The 49ers run it. The Dolphins run it. It's all the same scheme, the zone blocking scheme, and we're getting run over. So you need a big dog in the middle, and I would love that. Will it happen? No, of course not.
Yeah.
But man, I really want it to so much. Please.
They're gonna invest more in. They're big on linebackers.
So where do you see the quarterbacks going? Because you got Kirk Cousins, who is available. I assume Jameis is available. You have
Baker.
Baker, yeah, that's the one. Baker, and then Justin Fields.
I think I'm most excited about Baker. Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't be shocked if he resigns. Are they not going to resign him?
Maybe not. He wants guarantees because he's gotten fully guaranteed contracts the last 2 times, and they're
Cowboys are good. Texans are. I mean,
who needs a quarterback?
What's going to happen with Russell Wilson?
He's the other one. So you got.
If he gets traded, then I could see them taking I could see them taking a Baker.
Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Supposedly the Patriots are going to pick him up, but...
Well, the Patriots are drafting 3rd, so they'll have their choice of the 3rd quarterback, because Caleb Williams will go 1, whether it's Bears or whomever, and either Drake May or the 3rd guy, whose name is escaping me.
On there? Another quarterback?
Yeah, the LSU guy, Jaden Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
So those are the top 3 in whatever order. So some people say May 2, Daniels 3, vice versa. So they'll get their quarterback. But the teams that need a quarterback are the Falcons. Let's see. In the Cowboys division, no one's going to take a quarterback because the Commanders are going to draft one at 2.
They're already set.
But Falcons and Buccaneers got to figure out if re-sign Baker or not. The Saints kind of are stuck with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Panthers got Bryce Young, so they're not going to give up that early. The Bears will probably draft, which means the Vikings got to figure out if they're going to keep it up with
Cousins or move on.
Vikings, yeah. So yeah, like the NFC is weaker.
It's hard to see a good fit for them, for any of them, anywhere.
Seattle's going to stick with Geno, as far as I know.
Is Kyler Murray back at it next year?
They keep on. Okay. They just tweeted, "Here's our franchise quarterback." So
yeah,
they're stuck with him.
I think he's the comp for a Caleb Williams.
You think so?
I do.
Why is that?
I think Caleb Williams is good, but he got to run around so much,
right,
at USC and Oklahoma, and eventually you got to learn to let go of the ball in 3 to 4 seconds to be in the pocket.
Right.
So I think he'll turn out to be more like a Kyler, which is not a bad thing. I mean, Kyler went number 1, and he's been, to me, I've loved watching him play. He's had a couple great years. He's had a couple, 50-50 years.
Right.
But it's hard to be a good quarterback in the NFL.
Only a select few are really good.
A lot of people wrote off Baker as well, and then he ended up having a, solid year with the Bucs.
I think the system he was in Cleveland, they didn't trust him. And then as soon as you lose trust, so here are the teams that need a quarterback for next year. You have the Broncos and the Raiders.
Okay.
You have the Titans and the Steelers.
Ooh, I forgot about the Titans.
And then maybe the Jets, because you might want, I don't know, depends on if that's not something they'd sign in free agency. So these are teams obviously that won't draft one this year. So you have Broncos, Raiders, Titans, Steelers for sure, those 4. And then the Vikings need to figure out Cousins. The Buccaneers need to figure out what they're doing with Baker. And then the Falcons need a quarterback. So you got really, let's assume Cousins and Baker re-sign. Then you got the Falcons, Raiders, Broncos, Titans, and Steelers. Those 5 teams are in desperate need of a quarterback who aren't going to be able to draft one early because they were too good. at being mediocre.
And someone may also trade for Fields, right?
I'm hearing Atlanta.
I've heard Atlanta. I've also heard potentially the Steelers, Pittsburgh.
Those are the two big ones. If I were Pittsburgh, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Good defense, good coach. Get him a decent quarterback. Are you pro Justin Fields or kind of think he's average? What's your thoughts on him?
I haven't watched him enough. I think probably 50-50 on him.
I think he's a little better than. I think he's made strides this year as a passer.
That's what
actually got him a receiver.
But sometimes his stat lines are crazy when it's like 150, 150, like 150 passing, 150 rushing. I'm like, that's not sustainable. I don't know if he's like the franchise quarterback. He's probably fine.
He last
I'd
year
put him on the Dolphins. I think he could be okay on the Dolphins.
Yeah, I would say last year he was thrown to Equiminius St. Brown as his top receiver.
Yeah,
he needs a St. Brown around him. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's kind of like if Jalen Hurts would have gotten drafted by the Bears, it may have looked the same.
Right.
So it's all about.
That's the what if is when they drafted Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes. Would Mahomes actually be Mahomes if he was with the Bears?
Right.
And probably not.
Yeah. System, organization, coach, all that stuff. It plays a huge role. Is that a guitar?
That was me hitting a strum. For strum interstitial. Moving into springtime. Strum.
NCAA tournament is around the corner.
Woohoo!
I'm interested in the women's. The only person I know in the men's.
Clip that for without.
I'm
interested in the women's.
The only person I know in the men's is Bronny, and I don't think they're going to make the tournament. Maybe unless they win their conference championship, which I don't know what conference they're in because
who knows anymore.
I don't know who's in what conference anymore. But the women's, you got Caitlin Clark, who's having obviously a great year. She's the leading scorer in college basketball history, right? Just who'd she pass? Maravik?
Yeah, she's up against Pistol Pete here.
Yeah, set the record. You got Paige with UConn, who's a cool story. You got LSU going for the repeat. They took the HVL or Haley Van Lith from Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got this Juju girl who's a freshman who's killing it with USC. So you got all these kind of cool stories. Big social media people on the women's side. Guys' side, I'm just like, I
don't know any of the big names. That's
that's the deal. I'm not as, and I've slowly. NCAA basketball has lost its appeal to me. After Zion got out, I was like, okay, I don't.
That's the thing is the staying power
last year.
Of the women's game because the money is so good in the men's game.
Yeah.
And the NIL is so good in the women's game that someone like Angel Reese will come back for another year.
Right.
And someone like Caitlin Clark will stay for at least 3 years. And you get, because like, do you watch the 30 for 30 of I Hate Christian Laettner?
I haven't.
So it's about Christian Laettner and how he was probably the greatest men's NCAA basketball player ever. They went to 4 Final Fours when he was there. They won a couple national championships. And he was super controversial and mean and a bully, and you either hated him or you loved him. And so, but you don't get that anymore because you're either one and done. If you're that good, you're one and done, or you just skip altogether.
Right.
Go play overseas for a year.
G League
for a year. Yeah, it just so that staying power where you build up a reputation and a legend just isn't there. So the men's game, it's just, I don't know. It just isn't what it used to be, and there's no reason. There's no name power for me to watch like in the women's game, like you had mentioned.
Right. Christian Laettner. So I heard something funny the other day. Were they like panning the camera to his mom a lot during the Final Four? Have you ever heard about this?
I haven't read that. What was going on with that?
Somebody was making like a compare contrast of the amount of time that his mom was on camera versus Taylor Swift. during the Super Bowl and like during the playoff run. They were like, "You think T Swift's getting a lot of camera time? You should go back and watch the clips of Leitner's mom."
Leitner's mom.
Leitner's mom.
Going on.
I was like, maybe I have to check that out. So it's interesting. Interesting fact.
That's our fun fact of the day.
And
so,
that's the fun fact.
Who do you think is going to win the women's and the men's tournament?
Men's tournament, I'm going to go. Well, every bracket I've ever done, I always pick North Carolina to win.
I was going to say.
As long as they're in it. I don't know if you know that. It's about as consistent as me drafting Cam Newton. But
he's been retired for years. Number one pick, Cam Newton.
North Carolina's going to win. They also have that guy. His last name, I think, is Bacon. Every time I see it, I think Bacon.
That's a good thought.
He's one of those kids who's been like, I think he's playing in like a 7th season, or he's been there for like 10 years or something. So I'm going to go for North Carolina. On the women's side, I got to roll with Caitlin Clark. I think they're going to pull it out. I think I don't think LSU is going to repeat. I think they're too arrogant.
Cocky going to get to them.
Yeah. What about you?
All right. On the men's side, men's basketball, you always want to pick the legendary teams, the Blue Bloods.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to do that because I have a soft spot for a team like Houston, which has never won, or Marquette is ranked 5, or Creighton. Yeah. I love Creighton. I found out Creighton's in Nebraska.
Yeah. But Dougie McDermott.
Yeah. So I love those type of teams. Dayton's another one. They were ranked like top 3, top 4 the year COVID shut everything down, and I thought they were going to win it all. So yeah, I'm a fan of those non-traditional powers. I'm a big fan of non-traditional powers in basketball. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Houston. They're ranked number 1. They were great last season as well. So
H-Town, hold it down.
Yeah, they were top 5 last year for most of the year. So yeah, I'm going to go Houston to win the men's. For the women's, South Carolina's undefeated.
Yeah.
In the conference with LSU. They just finished their 2nd straight perfect regular season, 29-0 overall.
Yeah.
So
I think they won 2 years ago. They lost in the Final Four last year.
Yeah, they've beaten UConn. They've beaten LSU. Both of those were road games. No,
safe pick. I left them off my list too. I think, they're always a safe pick in the women's game right now.
Yeah. Oh man, he's making fun of my safe picks.
Safe pick.
Safe pick. Boo this man. Boo this man.
Boo.
Boo. I wonder if that's in our tracks. Hang on.
You just took the 2 number 1 teams. Wow.
Rude. Well, I took the other number 1 team because they never won anything.
Yeah.
Boo. I'm going to go with the number 1 seed and the other number 1 seed. Just mention it like that.
I'm going to go with the number 1 and the other number 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Celtics to win the NBA Finals against whoever's the top seed.
Yeah, against the OKC Thunder or the Timberwolves.
Whoever's number 1. Yeah. Are you a hockey fan or no? Transition.
So
slap that.
That's I've been debating whether I become a hockey fan or not. The only reason I do want to become a hockey fan is so I can talk about it with you. But I don't know if I want to. Why would I? Convince me to become a hockey fan.
So you need to go.
How do you do it?
You need to go to some Ice Bats games. So you have a pretty decent. I actually don't know how good they are, but a pretty decent minor league hockey franchise in Austin called the Ice Bats.
Okay.
Give them some watch. The main reasons to watch the hockey games are it's fastest game in sports. It's very back and forth. So there's a lot of action. It's a physical game. They've taken a lot of the violence out, which is good and bad. I like the fighting. Yeah. I kind of like the goons, but I understand because it went too far with guys, throwing elbows across the face at high speed. And then when you lose guys for a whole season, I get that. But it's a speed game. It's more of a team game, in my opinion, than basketball and other sports. So when you have LeBron, you are going to the playoffs.
Correct.
And you are probably going to the finals.
Yeah.
Or at least in his prime.
Yeah.
If you have Luka, you are going to the playoffs. You're going to find ways to win, unless you are a chronically mismanaged franchise like the Mavericks. I'm sorry. They're working on it. They're actually getting much better. But in hockey, it's much more difficult because the best players, your offensive players anyway, at most will get about 20 minutes per game. It's a third of the game.
Okay.
And your top defensive players, 22 minutes a game. So you need to roll 4 lines. You got to have a team.
They're shifting in and out a lot. They're jumping over that wall. And
so there is a lot of tactics the more you learn about, like, okay, I need this line against this line, and home team gets the last change. So the home team gets to pick the lineups and the matchups. So that's why your home team will have a better record than the road teams a lot of times. The other thing, except in the playoffs, the other thing is how the styles kind of make fights. In basketball, the styles are all roughly the same right now. It's 3, drive it and kick it, drive it and dunk it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to play. With hockey, you can take a defensive approach or an offensive approach. And kind of like we talked about last week is you have an X factor in your goalie. So a goalie can steal a game where in other sports, there's like one guy cannot make that much of a difference and just steal a game. Right. Except like LeBron when he beat the Pistons that one time. But
yeah, that's different.
That's different. That's a little different. He was scoring and defending. But then, just it's fast, it's furious. But it's also, you get 3 goals a game. First 1 to 3 usually wins. So you get some goals, you're cheering, you have a feeling of inevitability with momentum, and penalty kills are hardcore. It's just a tough, fast, fun game, and you can get really into it and look at the analytics, or it's just more, for me, it's very aesthetically pleasing, the back and forth nature. Okay, now we're on the attack. Oh, we turn it over. Come on, guys. Get back, block the shot. They take 2 shots. We shift, we change. We're countering back the other way. And so it's a fun, fast game. It's like soccer, but faster.
That's the part I think I would like. If I learn the flow of the game and the rotations and then some of the players, I think the rotation piece would be what would most interest me. Okay. He's making these changes, kind of getting the matchups and all that.
And do you like, do you like, I don't know, like Matthew Dellavedova, those type of players?
Oh, yeah.
Because the league's full of I love our third line. Yeah, the league's full of those. You'll have 2 or 3 top end, high scoring, great guys, and the rest of your team is like Ty Dellandrea. And you're like, who's that guy? He makes $800,000. He's a face-off specialist and just been grinding in the league for 15 years.
Love that.
Other guys like that are just they're in the league. They're hanging on, but they got to earn it every year and every night. So it's fun to watch.
I can get on board with that. Maybe I'll tune in. When's the season officially? I mean, playoffs are always the same time as the NBA playoffs, right?
Give or take, yeah.
So is the season about the same? October to March, April?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah, because they go. Because we're coming to the home stretch. We have 20 games left.
Nice.
In the regular season.
Are the Stars going to make the playoffs this year?
Yes, they're one of the favorites. So we're going to our division's probably got the three of the 4 best teams in the West. So we're in a tight matchup for our division. And we're one of there's about 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 7 teams that are, there's no one team that's the team this year. Kind of in the NBA, you got the Celtics that are the team. And then there's some tiers. There's about 7 tier 1 teams and then a bunch of tier 2 teams. So it's actually really wide open. The Stars have been really good and consistent over the past 6 or 7 years. We had 1 year where we missed the playoffs, but that was right after we made the finals, and a lot of players got hurt and had to have season-ending surgery after the Stanley Cup Finals. That's the other thing that's cool is after the playoffs, it's this guy was playing on a torn ACL. This guy was playing on a shattered foot.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Sagan had surgery so intense he couldn't walk for a few weeks and then had to relearn how to walk after the Stanley Cup Finals. He had such a severe core injury. I'm like, how did you play? How did you play?
Yeah, tough guys. Maybe I'll tune into some of the playoffs as a start.
And
then we can work our way into next year.
If you have ESPN Plus, I believe all the games are on ESPN Plus because you should not be blacked out in Austin. I get blacked out in Dallas because the same place that carry the Mavs carry the Stars. And I don't get that channel. So
gotcha.
Sucks, but doesn't suck.
What else you got, man?
I had a really funny time with breakfast this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, so my 1-year-old, he'll take the spoon.
Okay.
Even. and start dumping it before it gets to his mouth. So he's just like,
Just
so
missing.
It's who's a bad 3-point shooter? He's shooting about 25% from the field right now. So he'll just be drenched with milk all over his front, and he'll be and when you get him out of his seat, there's just a pile of Cheerios. I'm like, did you eat any breakfast?
Like, did you eat anything, dude?
So I slid the bowl closer to him and used his body as a backboard, so some of it'll at least bounce back in. What were your favorite breakfast cereals growing up?
My top 2. Well, probably my favorite of all time was Reese's Puffs cereal.
So good.
There was a span of time where I ate Oreo cereal. I don't know if you remember that. Did you ever have Oreo cereal?
Oreos or something like that.
One of my sister's favorite was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. My critique of it was great taste, great milk at the end, lost its flavor and got a little too soggy too quick. And then, of course, Honey Nut Cheerios. I think that's probably the most consistent. That's from day one to day now. If I had to pick one cereal to stick around, it'd probably be Honey Nut Cheerios. So good.
They are.
And it lowers your cholesterol.
That's what as I eat 4 bowls, I'm like, I'm going to lower this cholesterol low.
You're like, I just had 124 grams of sugar, but
my cholesterol's going to be negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm power ranking ketosis. I am full on keto with this. Man, if I'm power ranking, so we had Lucky Charms this morning. Now my wife loves Lucky Charms. They're fine. I think they're tier 2 for me. Now what was funny is the Hearts. My 3-year-old goes, "This one looks like a butt," and I'm like. So then my 1-year-old starts laughing just because I'm laughing. But I mean, I don't understand. But like, butt humor is just so funny from day one. You're like, it's a butt.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're like, look at that.
But but I would say the number one cereal in the world is also the one that causes you the most pain, and that's Captain Crunch. I think flavor-wise, it is number one by far. But you have to get your jaw reconstructed after all the cuts and gashes you have in your mouth afterwards.
I forgot about that, like cutting my tongue.
Oh,
when you eat it, you're like,
it's the back, and then you just get like all those in the back behind, all that gum gash, and you like drink stuff later. You're like, oh,
what an enjoyable experience in the moment, though. Dang, I forgot about the mouth cutting.
Captain.
Wait, so what else you got? Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms, solid. Cinnamon Toast Crunch was on sale, so we got that. Fantastic. I'm gonna say Cocoa Pebbles. Are tier 1 because, and I like the key on this one is it's like excavating. There's different levels of crunchiness because you pour the milk in there, and then you got the real crunchy on top and the real soggy on bottom, and some people don't like that. I loved it. I liked all the different textures I got on a big bite of Cocoa Pebbles. So if you don't like that, I understand. And
I'm a middle. I like the middle crunch. Not too crunchy at the beginning, not too soggy at the end. It's that middle bowl where you're just like, I'm in the sweet spot.
Crunchy but soft, chewy but smooth.
But so you like the different levels of crunch?
I did. I don't know why. It just made me happy to be like this one because the milk at the end. I mean, it's pure chocolate milk. It's perfect. It's just like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh yeah, it's just straight cinnamon sugar milk. You're like, why don't they make this milk like this?
I just got a $1 billion idea just now.
I'm telling you, Cinnamon Toast Crunch milk.
We thought of it here first. Trademark.
Yep.
Copyright.
Boom. Done. Dunsky.
Let's cut it there.